I've been drinking today, and I'm quite smashed at the moment. I can't think of anything better to do when I'm completely drunk than watch a Trimet board meeting. So guess what? Let's see what their fucking idiots are up to.
It's in regards to letting us know that you're available or desired to have public comment.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that anybody is attending.
Nobody's making a public. Well, why would that be? I mean, nobody knows the meeting's going on. You hide it so nicely. You fucking sock puppet motherfuckers.
That's not related to the board meeting.
Oh, yeah. Look at Travis.
Okay, well, I don't see any.
Travis Stovall and fucking Bruce Warner should have been off the board meeting in January. But the corrupt Democrats of Oregon, they like to poke fun at Trump, but they're as corrupt as he is.
Hands going up.
Who's that?
So, Travis, I don't know if you want to wait another minute or two, or...
We'll wait another 15 seconds, and then if nobody actually voices their desire to speak to the board, then we will.
Nobody wants to speak to you because they know it's fucking a waste of time. Nobody wants to talk to you and waste their time. You fucking sock puppet assholes.
The business meeting. So we'll just give it just a few more seconds.
Yeah. What a God, Jesus Christ. Where's fucking Warner?
All right. At this time, we will look to close the public comment. As always, for the general public and folks that are observing the meetings, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team, our staff, the board members.
Your fucking sock puppetness.
Certainly by written format.
Yeah, right.
Always enjoy.
You know what this means to me? It means that people finally realize these people are unreachable. They're not going to listen to you. It's all a fucking sock puppet show. And people finally wised up to it. They know what's going on. You know, the best thing about what's happening in the world now is people are finally starting to wake up to this farce that's going on around us, and these fucking elites like this guy Stovall, who he's black, but he's an elite, okay? Black faces in high places mean nothing because they don't care about the underclass of this country.
Hearing and listening to the public as we look to deliberate the business of Trimet.
Yeah,
At
right.
this point, we will call the August 12th Trimet board meeting to order.
Yeah,
and we'll start our regular business meeting with our board reports.
At least they put the damn shit on goddamn YouTube. You know, they know nobody's going to watch this. There's fucking riots in the street. There's Trump, Biden. The whole culture's falling apart. Nobody cares about the Trimet corruption, and why should they? The whole world's falling apart. I mean, Trimet's the last thing on people's minds.
Our first board report is the Committee on Accessible Transit.
I don't want to hear your fucking word. Let's go right to Kelsey.
Face coverings, distancing.
Oh, fuck off.
Is open to
Ozzy,
the agency, but this is really about information resources for any members of the public that want to get the latest and greatest details. Where is the best place to point them to for understanding the latest protocols and the safety measures that have been covered?
I think that probably is a question for the staff. I'll say that Pat does have a web page. Also on our
Jeffrey Carroll, by the way.
accountability website.
Lori Bowman is horrible, by the
about,
way. Lori Bowman, okay, this woman here, see my mouth? She was talking about, well, we can't let people not pay because they'll be out of control. She's like neoliberal. We got to keep the fucking cattle in line here. Horrible, horrible. I'll take Ozzy over that bitch. Get lost, fucker. Who the hell are you calling me? Stop calling me. I don't answer the phone.
With various ADA mandates and whatnot. But perhaps somebody from the staff could jump in and give a better answer.
Yeah, I think that's quite right, Director Bauman. So there is a CAT web page where that information is available. It is also available on the.
But I will give Dougie a kudo. He was out there. He had his rider jacket on. He was out there doing whatever the hell he was doing. So that's a +1 for you, Dougie, because at least you, the top dog, went out into the public and did whatever they were doing. That's a good thing. So we'll give you a +1 on that one, okay? My opinion of you has gone up 100% on that.
Trimet broader website as well. And we have all kinds of signage and such on the vehicles themselves.
You got to remember, this isn't Dougie's fault, okay? Dougie came down here at the invitation of Neil McFarlane. Neil McFarlane is an old Portland crony from way back. He's in the Fred Hansen Club, okay? These are old cronies of Portland. You know, you talk about Chicago corruption, well, there's Portland corruption. These are the old-time people that are in control of the tax revenues. So Dougie came down because Neil, that piece of shit, Neil, wanted a reliable technocrat to take over because he knew that if he stayed in charge, there would be no chance of a tax increase. Nobody would do it because everybody hated the motherfucker and he deserved it. Okay, Neil was bad. He was just awful. He was the worst. I mean, he was the worst. I had the pleasure of working for 3 general managers, Walsh, Hansen, and McFarlane. Walsh and Hansen were both good, although Hansen was a con man, but at least he saw me, and Walsh was very good. But McFarlane was a hack. I mean, his whole purpose was to break the union, and he did a very good job.
Cells are actually doing automated announcements, things of that nature around social distancing, masks, sanitizers, etc. So we're trying to hit this on multiple fronts as well.
So I don't hold Dougie responsible for any of this, okay? He came in later. This has already been set up. When they hired a Canadian, he wasn't even from the country, okay, to implement the agenda. I mean, that tells you something right there. We're going to hire somebody who's not even from the country, who has no connections to anybody in Portland or even in the United States other than the public transportation industrial complex. We're going to hire that guy to take over. And he had 2 years of training by McFarlane.
Well, particularly with the Steel Bridge project going on right now, we have a real significant effort going on with a lot of our own staff and what we call ride guides out there right now.
Yeah, he was out there. So you got to give Dougie credit for that. I got evidence myself from one of my people. Dougie was out there. So you got to give a man credit like that who's, like, you know, the biggest paid guy at Trimet is out in the public. So you have to give him credit for that, and I do. I give him credit. I think he's trying the best he can given what he's working with. I don't hate the guy. He was handed a particular situation, and now he has to follow through on it. So it's not him that's the problem, although he is a technocrat, a career technocrat, and he's disconnected from what's actually going on in the world. But that, you know, there's a lot of people like that out there. You know, this is a whole technocracy.
Handing out information, sharing information, so as well as customer service. We have about 4 or 5 key touch points that we're trying to hit on this.
And
I think Doug is trying, don't you? I think he's making
languages.
his best effort.
More than one language I saw out there. So congrats
on
that.
Ozzy.
Are the digital resources, online resources, also available then in multiple languages at this point?
Ozzy. He's so cute.
I don't know, Dr. Gonzalez. I'll have to check on.
I like Ozzy personally. I can see that he's a good guy personally. It's obvious. That's what's scary, isn't it? Those people like Ozzy are like the perfect politicians. When you talk to them, they're like perfect. They like you, you like them. That's a perfect politician.
On that, I'm not sure it is, but let us get back to you.
Doug, this is Bernie. Yes, they're available in multiple languages.
Bernie Bottomley, you should Google his family. He's another longtime Portland family. All of his siblings are in high positions in the Portland area. He's another connected family who is part of the the Portland area aristocracy. Google his name and see what comes up, and you'll see who he is.
Is it on the digital? Okay.
Yeah, on the website.
I also want to say,
Okay.
And I just don't understand why these ultra-rich people cannot just enjoy their ultra-riches. They have to be involved in the public policy. They can't just sit at home like I'm doing. I'm sitting at home. I'm not rich, but I don't have any desire to control public policy like these people. Why do you have to control public? Why can't you let the public control public policy?
Folks, if I could just jump in and say, folks have a concern about accessibility of the system, the types of issues that are within the purview of the CAT. The CAT meetings, of course, are open to the public, and they do take public testimony. So we're very interested in hearing the experiences of riders.
Yeah, right. Sure, right. Yeah, they're very interesting. I'm sure they are.
All right. Any more questions for Director Bauman?
No.
I had a question. Oh. I don't know if this is not a question for Lori as much as, and it may not be really under this, the accessibility issue, but my question is regarding when it's really hot and the bus is closed, and when it's really cold when the bus is closed, the filtration system on the bus, how much air is actually being moved, out of the bus and being.
I kind of like this guy. This guy is like the most activist of the whole bunch. I thought, what's her name? The Asian woman. But she turned out to be a fake. This guy turns out to be the most activist of the bunch.
And filtered, in regard to the situation we have now with COVID.
That might be something we have to get back to you on. I know
there was a tweet about this just recently. They talked about the airflow on the Max, but somebody just asked about the bus.
The rail side depends on the type of vehicles we've got. We have a variety of them, but generally is about a 20-25% airflow based on even recent studies done in other transit systems. So let us get back to you specifically to your question on the buses.
When he says, let us get back to you, that means he'll never get back to you. You do know that. Anybody that's watched these board meetings knows what that means. It means, let's get back to you, and we'll never get back. We'll never hear about it again. It will never be brought up again at a board meeting. I'm going to get a shot of Jack Daniels.
Thank you.
All right. Great question, Director Edwards. Any other questions regarding the Committee on Accessible Transportation? All right. Our next board report is the Finance and Audit Committee, and that is myself. So I will give the update on that. We covered 3 items in the Finance and Audit Committee this morning. The first item was a review of an item that's going to come before the board, and it's looking at the underwriter pool. When we actually go out for bonds, we actually utilize a group of investment advisors and folks that assist us in that process. And we put together a pool of individuals and companies and organizations that allows us to go to the market as we need to. And so we did a quick review on that, and the Finance Committee was supportive of the resolution that's coming.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And we'll have an opportunity to kind of dig deeper into that as the board meeting goes on. Then the Finance and Audit Committee reviewed some upcoming changes to the investment policy, which a lot of the changes just bring the policy more in alignment with what is going on across the state and other investment policies and like agencies and organizations. So the Finance and Audit Committee got a preview of that to give some feedback and input before that comes before the board in September. So the board will get an opportunity to kind of deliberate on that and review that information. And then lastly, the Finance and Audit Committee just got a quick preview on the Southwest Corridor, and what is going on kind of in the fund.
The most useless pork barrel project. They're moving ahead with that, of course, because, that goddamn capital projects mafia is controlling public policy. Will it actually get through? I don't know. The business community is against it, and as they should be. I don't know. It just doesn't serve any purpose. That's actually for the people. It's all special interest pork.
Funding mechanisms and some potential changes and adjustments that are going to need to be made as we continue to move forward. Not so much of an in-depth review of financial information, just kind of brief updates and some ideas and thoughts as we go forward. So that, of course, as you can imagine, there's a lot of things happening.
Stovall is one of the best at talking a lot and saying nothing. And he just pontificates on and on. He needs to be off the board. He's been on the board over 8.5 years now. He needs to go away. But the Democrats in Oregon are corrupt as fucking hell. So they don't do that. They like him because he's implementing the policies that are supposed to be implemented.
A lot of movement, and it's very dynamic as we look at, how we move forward with the Southwest Corridor and potential funding mechanisms and things of that sort. So those are the 3 items that the Finance and Audit Committee reviewed this morning, and I am certainly open for any questions or comments or thoughts from the board. And also, Director Simmons is a member of the Finance and Audit Committee, and so she's also available to answer any questions and to make any comments if anybody feels I missed any key or critical information in sharing with the board.
Nope. Moving on. I want your Dougie report. Dougie report.
All right. I'm not hearing any questions or comments.
Nope.
Director Gonzalez, did you have something?
No.
Yeah, this is perhaps my curiosity and trying to get a better sense of our overall state of affairs and also my naivete and in the details of the metrics we have in place now. We clearly have been impacted severely, and there's been some large sort of deltas that have been in place due to COVID and the results in ridership. And now that we've turned the corner on looking at the sort of projected impacts, how are the projected impacts faring against the actuals? Are we in a more dire or less dire position? Is there any sort of general way to represent that? So that's really what the question is on my mind. I'm not quite sure how to ask it other than are we more okay than we thought we were or less okay?
Ozzy.
So, Director Gonzalez, that's a great question. We actually didn't get an update or a highlight this morning in regards to kind of the financial position that we're in. We haven't heard, as a Finance and Audit Committee, haven't heard any adjustments based on the budget that we approved and what is going on there. But I would open it up to Dee and anybody on the staff to respond to that. If we're seeing any types of things based on what we kind of approved on the budget, are we seeing any trends, any updates that?
Dougie, give us the updates, Dougie.
That would be helpful.
Perhaps before Dee jumps in, it's Doug. We do have on the schedule for the next board meeting in September to be bringing not only to Finance and Audit Committee, but also to the broader board an update on exactly that our financials.
I'd like to point out, for those of you who don't pay attention, which is everybody, and maybe we'll get 20 views on this. Nobody cares. That the only thing that's been cut at Trimet, there's only been one thing cut at Trimet over COVID. Only one thing. Bus service. Okay, that's it. Everything else is functioning at 100%.
State and I'll call our overall programs impact state. So that is scheduled to come to the next board meeting.
No,
I don't know if there's anything Dee you would like to add.
Who?
No, that sums it up. We haven't had anything remarkable to tell us that conditions will be different than we've reported in the past.
Okay, D baby.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. If we don't have any more questions in regards to Finance and Audit Committee, we'll move forward to the Transit Equity Advisory Committee and Director Gonzalez.
Oh, hey, Ozzy!
Thank you very much, Director Stovall.
Ozzy, baby, we love you.
There was a meeting last night for the Transit Equity Advisory Committee. August is not typically a month when TAC meets, but there was a meeting last night, and in it there were a few updates provided. One on reimagining the public safety effort. There's some information that will be shared with the board on our agenda later today about that same program. So John Gardner updated TAC last night on what we're going to hear about today. And
John Gardner is a useless piece of shit, by the way, making 6 figures. Useless piece of shit. Just my opinion. Nobody cares what I think, but I'm telling you what I think because this is my video.
Got some advice from the community partners around it. So that was a nice opportunity to get some feedback on that. as well as some feedback from TIAC members on general community engagement and ridership feedback. So that's something that helps. That's what we have our partners there for. And there were some opportunities to provide update to members on the Steel Bridge Max improvement project. So there was...
I'll bet you $1 a donut that the Steel Bridge Max improvements do not improve Trimet Max service, because they never fucking do.
Several questions about that, and there was some clarifications around that for TIAC members.
Yeah.
And finally, our own Title VI program administrator, Carl Jr., provided an overview and an update.
Title VI, good old Title VI, the complete wasteful bureaucracy of Title VI. It does nothing but creates another level of bureaucracy for the technocracy to suck money out of the taxpayers.
On Trimet's Title VI Civil Rights Program and
Civil rights.
And walked members through the compliant management process.
Yeah.
So there were some questions around that. And overall, it was a good series of conversations.
Yeah, right.
A bit shorter of a meeting than was traditionally, and the next meeting will be in September, first week of September on the 8th.
Any questions for Director Gonzalez for the TIAC Transit Equity Advisory Committee?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, Director Gonzalez, for that report. Now we're going to move to the General Manager's report.
Put it on pause.
And
I got to get a shot. Let me get a shot before.
Thank you.
I got to get a shot of Jack Daniels before I watch this. Stand by. We'll take a listen. Stand by. All right, I got my shot of Jack Daniels here. We will now proceed to listen to the Dougie report.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. So I've got about 5 quick updates. A couple have actually been referenced already. I'll give you a quick update on COVID. Talk about quickly our July ridership, which is slowly trending upward, which is really nice to see. I do want to give a quick update on the Steel Bridge because that's such a complex project and so impactful. And I do want to talk about the fall service changes. And finally, I'm going to ask John Gardner to give us an update on where we are around the review and reimagining of our safety and security on our system, the process that we'll all be involved with. So
the safety and security, which has been nothing but a complete and total failure up to now, and has enabled people like Jeremy Christian to murder 2 people, and who was only caught because a Trimet rider followed him. Yes, the safety and security of Trimet has been a miserable failure. Tristan Isaac has talked about this on his Twitter feed, but
So, firstly, first update to COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Back in July 26th, following the guidance of Governor Kate Brown and the Oregon Health Authority, we began transitioning our bus and rail system to 3-foot distancing versus what was the historical target of 6. Between particularly for our passengers. Something that is very important here is, as we've started this transition, it's now in place, and we needed that actually for the Steel Bridge. That our bus operators still are set up to maintain a distance of 6 feet. So that's really an important separation between passengers and the public as well. We did delay the implementation. The governor's order was actually back mid-May. I think it was May 15th specifically, to move to 3 feet in coordination with the Oregon Health Authority. We held off specifically until just about a week or so ago. And that was the reason, because we needed to get our cleaners, our notifications, our signage in place, did not want to race ahead and go to 3 feet without the other precautions and pretty critical cleaning standards in place first. But we now are in place. We've got...
It's called hygiene theater. Okay, if you're going to ride public transportation, just wear your mask and hope for the best, man. Stay away from people. Hygiene theater doesn't work.
About 124 cleaning positions now that have been hired. As you are well aware, we have sanitizers on our buses and trains, as well as masks.
Sanitizers that run out during the day. Sometimes they can replace them during the shift. Sometimes they can't. It's theater. It's just hygiene theater. Headways matter. Our Twitter. Check them out.
And in fact, I think we've given out somewhere about 1.8 million masks so far since we started this.
All right, well, good for you.
And we were probably, if not the first, one of the very first in North America to actually do this on the vehicles themselves.
That's very nice. That's probably true. I checked it out. Yes, you were. Okay, big deal. Who cares?
To really double down on the standards that, for everyone's protection and benefit. In terms of the bus panels or bus barriers, whichever word you want to...
Now, those should have been installed a long time ago before, we were talking about this a long time ago, long before COVID-19. And they dragged their feet on it. Because they don't want to, every penny they spend on operators or on riders is one less penny for the elites. And it really, I know people think I'm nuts. Al is crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, believe me, okay? I know how this fucking works. Every penny they spend on the people, the elites don't get. And that's to the elites, that's serious. They want it all, man. They don't want to spend anything on you. You can see that, right? Can you see that yet, or are you just stupid?
Choose. Again, we continue to make progress. We're only as good as the suppliers, particularly the glass side of things, the plexiglass.
Yeah, this is your capitalism for you. They can't even fucking make a goddamn bus barrier. They can't come up with masks. They can't come up with sanitizer. This is your country failing you. Does anybody care? I don't know.
The glass side of things has been part of the holdup for us. The good news is the existing service levels that we have in place today, and we'll be talking about the new service levels here shortly, but the existing service levels we have in place, we will be complete all the bus barriers for the whole, for that service level over the next probably 7 to 10 days. So that's very encouraging. And we also have had an uptick, frankly, in some assaults on some of our operators.
Yeah.
And we are, because of trying to enforce masks.
Yeah, we have a lot of drivers that don't get it. Yes. It's unfortunate. We hear it all the time on the scanner, don't we, Rip City? It's unfortunate. You're not clear. You're not telling you're not giving the operators the correct information, which is a Dougie fail.
So we've taken a more informed and trying.
You get that dispatcher Dan, who I think is one of the best dispatchers I've ever heard, actually. You offer them a mask, and that's it. I listen to this shit all day. It's my hobby is to listen to this shit. And the dispatcher, I don't ever defend dispatch. I hate dispatch. I always hate it. But I'm coming around to defending them now, which is just crazy. Because they're trying to educate these drivers, and these drivers are all caught up in their egos, man. Although lately I've been seeing on Twitter that the drivers are like supporting Black Lives Matter thing. That's really nice to see. Because, my experience is they're all like Trumpers. But I see that Trimet is trying to do a culture change. I know that's true. And hopefully it's succeeding.
Influence and pointing people to the mask we actually supply them on the vehicles. But we really do not want to cross the line of having our operators put in any period of confrontation.
But you don't tell them that.
You may have even seen articles in the media and such like that where there's be really hard on the enforcement of masks. We do not want to go there at the jeopardy of the safety of our employees as well. So what we're doing with it.
Why don't they know that, Dougie? Why are they not aware? Why do we keep hearing this on the scanner? that these people are just enforcing them. They don't have any idea what you're just saying right now. They don't know what you're saying, okay? They have no concept about the actual Trimet policy. Why is that? Why is that, Dougie? Why are they not aware of what the actual Trimet policy is? This is on you. You need to get these people in to understand what to do here, and you're failing at that, Dougie. I know that you have this industrial complex, but you can do something about it.
As we move with our bus barriers, we are tracking if there's any particularly aggressiveness to operators and any patterns that come with that. We really are allocating our buses with bus panels or bus barriers to those lines just to make sure that it's a supplemental protection for them as well. So just to let everybody know that as we move through this, I think Dr. Simmons, you had a question, I think.
I do. You know, what's so interesting about this is that you can't even get into the grocery stores unless you have a mask. I mean, they have people at the door handing out masks. They won't let you in. It doesn't seem to be an issue within other establishments. It's just amazing to me that
let's hear this.
People are making it a big issue in terms.
Yeah, it's the Trump culture. Don't you get it? You know, if Trump had said wear a mask, we wouldn't have this problem. But, you know, you have this fucking guy who was sent to us by the oligarchy to divide us. And he's doing the best job of any president in my life of dividing the public into two.
In terms of riding transit. Since, I mean, it's, can you help me to...
There's not enough, look, the problem is here, there's not enough dead people, okay? There's not enough dead people. Most of the people that are dead are from the nursing homes. The people out in the world are not dead. A lot of people get it, but not everybody has any symptoms. You know, this was the Black Death. Believe me, people might be wearing it because 1/3 of the population would be dead right now. But that's not what's happening.
Understand why it's so different for transit than it is for all of the other business establishments. I mean, maybe it's a rhetorical question, but
yeah, good question.
It's unfortunate that it is creating hostility towards
very
staff.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I'll when I used to be in the private.
No, it's not a delicate balance. You don't enforce the rule. Therefore, people don't follow the rule. You enforce the fares on the max. To your credit, you don't enforce them on the bus. To your credit, give you +1. But if you can enforce the fares on the train, why can't you enforce the mask? Why not? Why?
Private sector in the retailing side, for example, that's private property. They can enforce it in any way they deem necessary on their property. We are also, unlike retail, we are an essential service, and so part of that is we want to make sure we're accommodating everyone. What I can say is, and this is anecdotal on my end, a number of us on the leadership side we've all been out doing ride guide work with the Steel Bridge, and it is the vast majority in the, I'm going to call it the mid-high 90% are all wearing masks. So there's we are trying to manage this in a delicate way because there are some people who they're just really strongly opposed to it, and we also want to make sure that we provide the best service possible. So we don't want to be rejecting people because it does lead to aggressiveness and assaults. It has it in a few cases, and so that's just a line way too far. It's a bit like fare enforcement. We'd rather inform, not enforce, because we don't want to, over the sake of a 50-cent or $1.
You do enforce it on the max.
Or mask, have a confrontation with somebody gets harmed here. So we're trying to, in fact, we did approach the Oregon Health Authority specifically and said, here's the approach we're taking. We said it's any advice they had, and they literally wrote to us. In fact, I'll read you the quote. We know that passive enforcement is the most that can be asked of any businesses in this politically divisive climate. So that's been their position back.
Yeah.
They haven't given us any advice to say essentially no exceptions. So we're trying to manage this as the best way and delicately possible, and still caring for the people who need to get around. So we've enhanced signage from recommendations from some bus operators. We've got announcements out there. We've literally got the supply on the bus so people couldn't say they don't have access to one. So we're trying to remove the objections to the degree possible. But I think we're very much at the exception side.
Look, they needed to say masks are recommended, but not required. They can't enforce it. Why are they trying to enforce it? Why are they saying it's mandated when it's not? You say to people it's recommended because that's what it is, and let it go because you're not going to enforce it. So you've created another fucking crazy problem in the culture when you could have just said, we recommend a mask, it's not enforceable because it's not being enforced.
The goal is to get everybody compliant, but also noting there are some individuals for health reasons who are not able to wear a mask. So I think we want to be careful not to race to judgment, whether they have asthma or some other medical condition that may restrict them from wearing a mask for all kinds of right reasons. So let alone those under 2 years old, I think, and less. So this is a delicate balance. It's an exception, but it is happening in selective areas. So we're doing the best we can to manage it. As we look at the operators, the bus barriers are such a crucial piece, I think, to help them as a supplemental safety measure.
If I may, Doug, there's another concern as well, because I'm sure we have passengers that are riding the buses and the light rail, and they're going to look and say, you know, that person can't get on here because they're jeopardizing my health and my safety. Right. And that's got to be a concern.
And that's actually happening. That's happening. We know that
as well, because that can certainly lead to, you know, physical altercation as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent point, Director Edwards. In fact,
not an excellent point. It's a fact. Okay, it's actually happening.
In fact, we have seen the odd example of that occur. So that is something that this environment that nobody wants. We're trying to do the best we can, and our operators do an amazing job. They really do manage in this delicate balance for themselves personally, but also within our customers as well. And our operators, we do have the ability, if something, they do have technology available to ask for assistance should something escalate to a level that is...
Yeah, well, you know, the operators that try to enforce this, I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, really, you're out there alone. Nobody's going to come help you, man. Okay, you got to get that through your fucking head. You're out there alone. You need to figure out how to deal with your public so they don't fucking hate you. And you better figure that out sooner rather than later, because you're out there alone. Okay, it's going to take at least 15 minutes for a cop to get to you. So just fucking drive.
Uncomfortable, frankly. So they do have some resources available to them on the response side.
They're out there alone.
But they should be careful not to take it on solely themselves, because they could have unintended consequences. So, excellent point. Excellent point.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really do want to thank our staff, particularly our maintenance team and facilities. They're burning the midnight oil trying to get these barriers converted. So I just want to give them a quick call out to say thank you for all.
Dougie's a very good cheerleader. I really think he's doing very good at the cheerleading aspect of his job.
The work they're doing to help our frontline staff as well, who are doing an amazing job. I know when I was out there recently, helping the customers as a ride guide. You know, the operators just do a great job. They really do. So just can't thank them enough. And I also want to thank the cleaners because they're the ones trying to help maintain the 4-hour standards for everybody. And they're moving fast and furious, and they do a really good job for us also. So that'd be the update on COVID. But in our results are you know, no one wants any result of a COVID case. Right now, inside our agency, we have about 10 identified cases, 10. Of which 4 we know came from outside Trimet environments, whether it be home or some other environment. To date, the numbers we've got from OHA or our own staff is about a net of 6 at this point in time. So
that's not too bad.
We're doing everything we can to manage this, but I'd say the results, I think OHA and others are pretty darn pleased with. And the final comment I'll make on this, that sometimes people wonder, gee, is transit a transmitter of all of this, a conduit? There was a recent study that was done, it was reported, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal just last week, around in New York, the subway system, which has a lot less, even smaller restrictions than 3 feet. And in fact, it was found to be that there, in fact, is no evidence of that transit is a tracer.
Yeah, of course. You believe that? Right.
So we're taking the safety steps on top of some of the other ones others are doing, including foggers and such. So to really ensure that we are a trusted partner as a way to still be mobile in this region. It's a very...
Well, they tried the best they could, right? They tried. I mean, what are you going to do, man? I mean, what are you going to do?
Humbling and fragile environment. We have to be ready to try and react, and it continues to change, but so far overall our results have actually been pretty strong. So in terms of actual evidence of cases internally to our staff and the great work that they do. So in terms of ridership, I just wanted to move to that very quickly. We provided just over 3.3 million trips for the month.
What about that?
That was down. If you remember when we started, we were down about 70% when COVID first kicked in back in mid-late March. Now we're down about 59%. So invert that, and in fact, ridership's actually starting to slowly increase on the same base service, even after cutting it back by 20%.
Oh, 20% cut.
Very rapid.
20% cut when they should have increased it by 20%. They should have canceled the capital projects and increased transit, but they did not do that, did they?
In time. So, and that's comparing it to July of last year. So the modest increase continues. One thing I think is interesting to note is if you can also recall on our bus system, we've stopped collecting cash.
Yeah, they did a good job.
And we hope that's going to be for a short period of time. We want to get back to that as a way that
fair free transit now.
But during this time of taking cash off the buses, we've tried to use this as an opportunity to say, is there an opportunity to convert people to the use of our hop cards? And in fact, the results are really quite encouraging. Ryan Schaub and Dee's shop and others done a great job. And in fact, we've seen a 23% increase in the loading of our hop cards compared to pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Over the last 4 months.
The one world government tightens its noose. They wanted a cashless society, and they're going to get it. You know, there's a lot of things going on here besides COVID. You do know that, right? People who are awake. It's not just about COVID. It's about wealth transfer to the elites and one world government.
Months specifically, the trajectory is actually quite encouraging, where in April we had an increase in hop loading of 0.3%. May was 4.3%.
Yeah, they want everybody on that electronic system. They want everybody on the cashless society. It's very troubling that life as we know it is over thanks to these elite oligarchs who are going to squash the life out of us, including Trump. For those of you who think Trump is something special and you poor suckers, just a shame that you can't see through that.
June was 8.2% increase in hop loading and usage, and July was about 11.5%. So the trajectory, despite pulling back on cash, we've been trying to do the conversion, and so far it's been quite encouraging. So
yeah, that's what the whole point of it all
is. It's one of those "don't ever let a crisis go to waste" categories. So
did you hear what he said? Did you hear that? Don't ever let a crisis go to waste. That's the oligarch motto right there. He said it. He said it. He said it. He said it for everybody to hear.
The next item I have to update you on is, in fact, the steel bridge. We are about a third of the way through. Again, we literally cut the bridge access to the MAX system in half. So on one side of the river, all the trains are having to stay on that side, and on the other side, commensurately. So we're about a...
Why aren't they building a new bridge instead of the Southwest Corridor? Why aren't they building a new bridge, a Trimet bridge? You know, the fucking Trimet bridge that they have for the Orange Line is a joke. They need a new bridge for just Trimet east, west, blue, red, green lines, yellow. Why aren't they doing that? I'll tell you why. Because they're going to do it later. They're going to want to. They want your tax money. They're going to string it out as long as possible to get as much tax money as possible out of you. I mean, this whole, I don't have it. I forgot what all this costing. 200 million, 300 million, whatever. You know, it's a big, giant boondoggle, and you're paying for it. And it won't increase the max reliability. We already know that. But why aren't they building a new bridge for that price?
A third of the way through this 29-day program on the steel bridge. This is the most aggressive and complex state of good repair capital project in Trimet's history.
Yeah.
As a reminder, it's about $20 million in capital.
That's all?
About a third of $1 billion capital program.
Okay. No, it's a $300 million pork barrel. $300 million goes to Stacy and Whitback and all the associated cronies for this. And they're going to come back and want to build a tunnel. You know that, right? It's fake. It's phony. It's a lie. Just like everything else.
And the work is taking place 24 hours a day to minimize that footprint.
Yeah,
the crews are replacing about 9,000 feet of rail and the two most heavily used switches on the system, as well as the signal work they're continuing to do. The teammanship is just really impressive. So it's just a great example of plan your...
Is this guy a good cheerleader or what? I mean, rah, rah, shish boom ba, Dougie.
Work and then work your plan. And the team has been working on this in the back room for well over 2 years, actually 3 years now.
Yeah,
I think of it. So
millions of dollars wasted.
Tribute to all of our engineering and maintenance and planning and transportation.
The engineers who control public policy at Trimet. It's all about capital projects. That's who's controlling public policy.
Customer service staff, to Sam DeSue, to Steve Witter, everybody has a role in this. And he says this fragilely because things can change in a heartbeat. It's been an extremely impressive result so far. We are on budget. We are on timeline.
Well, I hope you be our fucking budget, motherfucker.
Things are looking quite good so far. And I encourage you, by the way, if anyone wants to get out and become a ride guide, please let me know. Happy to sign people up because we're still looking for tips. So
how about these?
He says that with shameless pride. Yeah. Full service changes. One of the key parts of is we plan all our capital projects. August 29th is the targeted finish date. That's important because on August 31st, we now kick back into,
I need a shot.
We're going to start increasing service to see in this challenging economic time if we can provide, and this is part of our plan, we're moving from 80% reduced service to 90%, back up to a 90% service level. There's about 20 bus routes we're going to increase on August the 31st, so that's the importance of the steel bridge project being complete. And right after we kick in, then ODOT's got a very large project coming their way as well. So we're coordinating with all our regional partners, and we are hitting our mark, and it's important we continue to do so. But we will see bring our service coming back, as I said, the 90% level, which is prior to the pandemic. The exception of this is on West. We're still going to maintain where West service frequency levels are right now, which is about a 30+% reduction in frequency.
West should be canceled. Yeah, so the only thing, it's important to understand that the only thing that lost money here is the actual service. The capital projects lost nothing. The max service lost virtually nothing. I think it was 7% cut. The only thing that got cut in all of this is the bus service. And that's important because you have to understand that it's always the lowest people on the economic ladder that have to pay for the sins of the oligarchy. And Dougie and the rest of his cohorts are part of that problem. They cover up for the oligarchy. They're all agents of the oligarchy. And their whole purpose is to fuck you over.
In service, but demand has been typically lower on that service generally. Bringing the service back, the priority will be to routes experiencing overcrowding and also areas where we may in fact have any social distancing pressures. So we're monitoring this quite closely and we'll be making adaptations accordingly. And in part of these improvements also, we also reviewed them and vetted them through an equity lens framework to make sure we mitigate any potential adverse impacts of low income.
Equity lens. What a bunch of crap. Does anybody believe any of this? Do people actually believe this shit? The equity lens? Does anybody actually buy this nonsense? Is anybody that stupid to actually believe this?
Income riders or communities of color.
Yeah, right.
And
fuck you fucking
part of the base when we reduced down to the 80% level. But that's also going to be part of the factoring in as we start to increase. The goal, we'll have to monitor this to find out what demand really looks like out here, and based on our operating and financial capacity.
That's what I like about the Republicans. They say, fuck equity, kill everybody. Kill everybody. Republicans just say, fuck equity, kill everybody. You know, at least they're honest, okay? Instead of pretending that there's some kind of, oh, look, we have a justice movement here. We're going to make it better. No, you're not. You're liars. At least the Republicans are honest about killing them all. You pretend that you're not. You know, I hope Trump wins, to be honest with you, because at least he'll bring down the society in the proper way.
These and assumptions, we'll monitor it from there accordingly. The goal is to get back to 100 at some point, but we'll have to see what the net, how people vote with their feet, if you will, in terms of demand.
Yeah, fuck you.
One other point I will, just a small item we'll make, and Bruce was aware I was going to make this, is Bruce and I were approached, this will be included as part of our service adjustments, by the leadership of the Bybee Lakes Hope Center. That's out at the Wapato Jail. And we did a tour out there, and if you haven't been out there to see that facility, it is just nothing short of amazing. And
that's another pork brow. Here, build this jail for $30 million. Oh, sorry, we don't need it, you stupid fucks. We just stole all your money. Yeah, great.
And we're excited, hopefully, that to help serve unsheltered individuals, and that program really takes root and works. We are on our line 11. It won't cost us any more service hours, but at the same time, on August 31st, we're making these other service changes from 80 to 90%. We are going to make a bit of a route deviation to get closer to the Wapato Jail off of the typical line 11. So it's not going to cost any more money. It's just a slight deviation to hopefully bridge access to the Wapato.
Okay, that's as much as I can listen to this nonsense, okay? Sorry, this is just a big con game, and you're the con person.